maths.
But is there any truth in what she says? Well, let's have a look at what A-level students studied last year, because more boys chose physics. 77% of students in these classes were male, while girls dominated the performing arts classrooms, with 94% of pupils being female. Well, equality was almost found in history lessons, with 44% of students male and 56% female.
Well, here to discuss this further is the head teacher who made the comments, Catherine Burble-Singh from Michaela Community School, dubbed Britain's strictest school, and mathematician Professor Christina Pargle, who has a PhD in physics. Good morning to both of you. Thank you for joining us this morning. Catherine, if we come to you first, were you aware that by saying this, that there was going to be a bit of uproar and people were going to be upset about the idea that you're perpetuating stereotypes, and actually there are plenty of girls that do enjoy maths?
Yeah, well, I didn't actually say that. That's the thing. Well, I was talking specifically about our girls here and the ones who hadn't chosen physics. And I said, well, I suspect, frankly, like most kids who decide not to take physics, whether they're girls or boys, that they don't want to do the hard maths. That was what I actually said. Having said that, I do think that the position that we often take, where we think that unless we have 50% in the subject of girls and boys, that there is necessarily a problem. I had spent 20 minutes being interviewed and giving advice on how to deal with the cultural issues that I think surround reasons why girls might not choose STEM subjects. There are three reasons why I would say there are fewer girls taking STEM subjects. One, there are the cultural issues that schools ought to deal with. And as I say, I spent 20 minutes talking about those things. It's just the media has not reported that. Two, I would say that on average, girls are more empathetic and boys are more systematic. That doesn't mean that there aren't amazing women scientists and women mathematicians. In fact, my entire physics department is staffed by women. So obviously that's the case. But third, it's the case, and the evidence shows this, that girls perform across the board. And because of that, like with your stats on drama there, the fact is that girls will choose English and history and drama and so on, whereas there are lots of boys choosing physics and maths. So we're overcompensating in terms of the boys on that side. And then the girls are spread across. But that doesn't mean there are no cultural issues. And I spent 20 minutes of the interview, most of my time, talking about those cultural issues.
Just one thing on top of that then, just give us a sense of what those cultural issues are and how we deal with them, if you think they're an issue.
So role models was a big thing that I spoke about. And I said it was important to bring outside speakers into your school. When it comes to staffing, it's a huge problem in schools with shorted subjects like science and maths. And so you need to make sure that you get excellent teachers. And I said government needed to do more in terms of those shorted subjects. And they also needed to do more in terms of careers, advising girls and boys about what careers would be best for them. That can be something that schools have a lack in terms of that expertise, and also having outside speakers come in and speak. Sorry, those are our pips here for the kids coming into school.
That's okay. So, don't worry. I was just going to say, should we go over to Professor Christina at this stage? Just because, obviously you've outlined there your views and why you think we're in the situation that we're in. Professor Christina, from your point of view, I know, you sort of strongly disagree with this idea about boys and girls subjects, but you've had a lifetime studying and wanting to encourage fellow women to go into doing physics and maths and sciences. What do you make of this and the reasons that Catherine's been talking about there as to why she thinks fewer girls aren't pursuing this?
I mean, firstly, I find it incredibly sad that in the 20, 25 years since I struggled as a lone female doing maths and physics, that things haven't really improved. It's not about the hard maths, right? I mean, girls and boys do equally well at GCSE in maths and physics. Girls outperformed boys in maths A-level last year. In Catherine's school, she testified that the maths A-level uptake is about 59%. The 59% of people doing maths A-level are girls. And it cannot be the case that the maths and physics A-level is harder than the maths in maths A-level. And this idea that it's empathy, I mean, just setting aside the fact that any kind of gendered personality trait research is extremely controversial, why does empathy make you less likely to do physics? why do you need more empathy to do physics than you do to do chemistry or maths, where 60% of girls, 60% of the people doing it are girls? In the committee on Wednesday, Catherine said that she only looked at the gender differences in her school the day before. So how can she know what the reasons are for why girls aren't doing it? If you actually look at the Institute of Physics, who have spent decades doing research into this, they highlight, the cultural things that she's mentioned, but also that it's about self-concept. It's about somehow that the girls start seeing physics as a boy subject. And you can see that in the fact that in single-sex schools, many more girls actually pick up physics.
OK, well, let's, Professor Christina, let's go back to Catherine on that, because they're pertinent points you can answer directly, Catherine.
Well, as I say, I think cultural issues do play a part. But it's wrong to have this idea that we ought to have 50% girls in all subjects and 50% boys. What we ought to be doing is trying to create an environment where all children can fulfill their potential, and that all vulnerable groups, whether they're girls or ethnic minorities or disadvantaged children, poor children, and so on, are able to have equality of opportunity. The idea of pursuing equity, which is this idea of 50%, is wrong. When we have disparities, it does not mean that we have discrimination. Now, I'm not saying discrimination doesn't exist, and I'm not saying the things that we've just discussed there, that idea that there is self-concept, that lack of role models, that perhaps teachers aren't as encouraging for girls in various ways. There will be a whole number of reasons. I totally agree with that. I just don't think that the cultural reasons are the only explanation for why it is not as many girls choose STEM subjects. Okay. I think there are other reasons. One, the girls perform well across the board so that they are spread out in terms of the subjects. And I don't want to stop them from doing the subjects that they really enjoy. Yeah. And two, that the evidence shows, boys on average, obviously there are brilliant women scientists and brilliant women mathematicians, but that they are more systematic, they like things, and that the girls are more empathetic and they like people. That's why doctors, for instance, combine the two. You have lots of empathy there, and you also have science. And in fact, women are taking up far more roles than men are as doctors.
Listen, we are going to have to leave it there. But
our pips are going, Catherine. Our pips are going.
Professor Christina Pargle, thank you both very much. Actually, lots of people getting in touch about this.